Welcome to Headline Hub Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The news broke like a thunderclap across the South China Sea. On screens from Washington to Beijing, the headline blared. U.S. forces to develop strategic port in Batanes, 125 miles from Taiwan. Suddenly, a remote and picturesque archipelago was thrust into the heart of a global power struggle. The announcement sent shockwaves through diplomatic and military circles. This wasn't just another military agreement, it was a statement. The United States and the Philippines, in a bold display of alliance, were signaling a fundamental shift in their strategic posture. The message was clear and aimed squarely at Beijing. The development of a port in Batanes represented a direct challenge to China's ambitions, especially regarding Taiwan. For military strategists, it was a game-changer. For diplomats, a high-stakes gamble. For the people of Batanes, it was the moment the world's problems arrived on their shores. Was this a prelude to a permanent U.S. presence? The language spoke of humanitarian assistance, but the geography was impossible to ignore. Batanes sits at the nexus of Asia's most volatile flashpoint, transforming it from a sleepy outpost into a critical piece on the Indo-Pacific chessboard. The world held its breath, wondering if this was a step toward deterrence or toward conflict. The decision to develop Batanes is a culmination of years of shifting dynamics, a response to China's assertiveness, and a reaffirmation of America's commitment to its allies. As the first bulldozers prepare to break ground, the question is not if this will change the region, but how profoundly and at what cost. The stage was set for a new era in Pacific geopolitics. Why Batanes? Look at a map. This northernmost Philippine province is closer to Taipei than Manila, a fact that defines its new strategic value. For decades, Batanes was a forgotten frontier, but now its location is indispensable. It's the perfect listening post, a potential staging area, and a crucial logistical hub for any military contingency involving Taiwan. The U.S.-Philippines partnership, forged in war and bound by treaty, has seen ups and downs, but China's maritime expansion has pushed Manila back toward Washington. The development of Batanes is the most tangible evidence of this renewed commitment. For the Philippines, it brings American resources and security. For the U.S., it offers access to a critical waterway and a platform to project power. From Batanes, U.S. and Filipino forces can monitor and potentially control access between the Pacific and South China Sea, creating a major obstacle for Chinese naval forces. In a Taiwan conflict, Batanes could serve as a forward base for intelligence, missile systems, and special operations, putting key Chinese assets within reach. This is turning geography into strategic advantage. China built artificial islands. The U.S. and Philippines are leveraging a natural one. Batanes is now an unsinkable aircraft carrier at the heart of America's Indo-Pacific strategy. The once sleepy islands have awakened to a new and dangerous reality. Between Batanes and Taiwan lies the Bashi Channel, one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. For China, it's both a lifeline and a potential cage. The channel is the main gateway for China's Navy to reach the Pacific, and for its submarines to operate undetected. It's also a vital artery for global shipping. Controlling the Bashi Channel means controlling China's access to the open ocean. By establishing a foothold in Batanes, the U.S. and Philippines can monitor and, if needed, interdict movement through the channel. This threatens China's naval strategy, which relies on breaking out beyond the first island chain. The Bashi Channel is the weakest link, and Batanes is the key. A hostile force in Batanes could seal the channel, bottling up China's fleet and complicating any move on Taiwan. The channel is also a hub for undersea data cables, another layer of leverage. The U.S. is modernizing its ability to track China's growing submarine fleet, just as it did with the Soviets during the Cold War. The battle for the Pacific may hinge on who controls this narrow strategic waterway. Batanes is now at the center of that contest. Officially, the projects in Batanes are humanitarian: new port, upgraded airport, disaster relief warehouses. The narrative is one of partnership and resilience, helping a vulnerable community. But beneath this veneer lies a clear military-purpose, dual-use infrastructure. A civilian port for relief supplies can also resupply warships. An airport for aid can land military transports and jets. Warehouses for food can store munitions. Every improvement serves two masters. This strategy provides plausible deniability while achieving military objectives, allowing the U.S. and Philippines to build up defenses without declaring a new base. When tensions flare, these humanitarian facilities can be converted to military use overnight. China used the same playbook in the South China Sea. Now, the U.S. is applying it in Batanes. By the time the infrastructure is complete, its military potential will be undeniable. The lines between civilian development and military preparation are deliberately blurred. The annual Balikatan military exercises have shifted north, landing squarely on the shores of Batanes and northern Luzon. This is no subtle move. It's a message to China. The drills now focus on large-scale island defense, amphibious invasions, and coordination of air and naval assets. For the first time, exercises are within sight of Taiwan. U.S. Marine HIMARS rocket systems simulate strikes in the Bashi Channel. This is no longer just training, it's rehearsal for a real conflict. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, enables this pivot. EDCA allows the U.S. to build facilities and preposition assets at Philippine bases, several now in northern Luzon. These sites act as hubs for rapid deployment to Batanes in a crisis. EDCA gives the U.S. guaranteed access it hasn't had in decades. While not sovereign U.S. bases, they serve a similar function, storing fuel, munitions, and rotating troops. The combination of EDCA sites and Batanes infrastructure creates a layered defense and a powerful deterrent. U.S. and Filipino forces now stand directly in the path of any potential Chinese move against Taiwan. The stakes have never been higher. Beijing's reaction has been swift and furious. Chinese state media calls the move a dangerous provocation, accusing the U.S. of turning the Philippines into a pawn. Warnings to Manila are laced with threats. Don't play with fire, don't let outsiders interfere in Taiwan. China sees the U.S. presence in Batanes as a red line crossed. This fits into a broader U.S. strategy of integrated deterrence, linking allies from Japan to Australia in a chain around China's maritime periphery. From China's perspective, it looks like encirclement, a modern containment policy. The buildup in Batanes is seen as an offensive base, not a defensive measure. Chinese analysts warn that missile systems in Batanes could threaten both ships and the Chinese mainland. In response, China has ramped up military activities, increasing patrols, and conducting exercises simulating a blockade of Taiwan. Every move by the U.S. and its allies is met with a countermove, raising the risk of miscalculation and conflict. For the 18,000 Ivatans of Batanes, the geopolitical storm brings deep anxiety. Their peaceful islands are now discussed in terms of missile ranges and strategic choke points. Some welcome economic benefits, but many fear becoming a target. The safety of over 150,000 Filipino workers in Taiwan is also at stake. Evacuation in a crisis would be nearly impossible. By strengthening its alliance with the U.S., the Philippines may be putting its own people at greater risk. Fishermen now face naval patrols. Community leaders worry about cultural and environmental impacts. The Ivatans are caught between a desire for security and fear of becoming collateral damage. Their predicament is a stark reminder that grand strategy has real human costs. Batanes is a masterclass in strategic ambiguity, two competing narratives, both true. The official story is humanitarian partnership, disaster preparedness, civilian infrastructure, stronger communities. This frames the American presence as positive and non-threatening. But behind the scenes, the military reality is clear. Ports, airports, and EDCA sites are critical enablers for potential conflict. Humanitarian projects provide cover for military buildup, allowing both governments to manage political sensitivities. It's a sophisticated strategy, using the language of peace to prepare for war. China dismisses the humanitarian angle, seeing only encirclement. Allies publicly endorse the aid, privately welcome the military strength. The world is left to wonder, is this resilience, or a launch pad for war? Batanes is a microcosm of the Indo-Pacific's strategic realignment. Small islands can shift the balance of power and draw new lines for future conflicts. Batanes symbolizes a new era of distributed, agile military strategy. The U.S. investment here reassures allies and deters China, but also raises the risk of escalation. If deterrence fails, the Philippines could become a primary target. The presence of U.S. and Filipino forces in such a sensitive spot could spark a crisis. As the world watches, the fate of the Pacific may hinge on these windswept islands. The only certainty, Batanes will never be the same again.